Hello and good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Hope well. I am here in Santa Cruz, California. Um, Beautiful sunny Santa Cruz is actually pretty. The weather's pretty nice, kind of cool. But I figured since I was here, something that I kind of wanted to do. So Santa Cruz is known as the vampire capital of the world. So how did that happen? I mean, I myself, I don't really believe in vampires or anything of the such. And I've been here for a night, had no vampiric activity. But how did it become that Santa Cruz is known as the vampire capital of the world? So, because I'd heard the phrase before, and I kind of knew the answer, but I wasn't sure if there's more to it. But just in case you don't know, here in sunny Santa Cruz, it is called the vampire capital of the world because in 1987, an unexpected movie took the US by storm. It had motorcycles, it had vampires, it had more mullets than a Guns N' Roses show. Guns N' Roses is a band. And the vast majority of shooting took place right in here in Northern California. Shooting of the film. The Lost Boys transformed Santa Cruz and its many landmarks into a fictional place called Santa Clara. It was actually filmed here in Santa Cruz, which the Frog Brothers, one of whom was played by Corey Feldman, deemed the vampire capital of the world. Lost Boys follows two Emerson brothers who move to a crime-filled beach town in Santa Clara, here in Santa Cruz. There, they encounter a gang of motorcycle-riding vampires who cause havoc and suck people's blood with abandon, as well as comic book lovers and vampire experts, the Frog Brothers. The film was a surprise box office hit. It was a pretty low-budget movie at the time, earning $32.2 million at the box office against a budget of $8.5 million. Probably because of all the vampires that went to watch it, or not. But after the 80s, the film took on a second life as a revered cult classic. And a cult classic, I mean, there's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. There's certain movies that are, for some reason, to stand the test of time because there wasn't anything like it, and people throughout ages continue to watch it, almost like vampires. It spawned two sequels: The Lost Boys: The Tribe, 2008, and Lost Boys: The Thirst, 2010. Haven't seen any of those, which notably premiered more than 2 decades after the original film. A third sequel is reportedly in the works, with Noah Jupe and Jaden Martell set to star. Okay, I don't know who they are, but hope it does well. It wasn't difficult to turn Santa Cruz into its eerie doppelganger. According to three people who helped create the film: assistant director Bill Beasley, second assistant director Eric Jewett, and Judith Bowley, who did location casting. All three remember working on the film fondly and said that they enjoy the movie. All these years later, they still enjoy it. It was a perfect little town for the shoot with the boardwalk. Beasley remembered. Locations were made to order. It was an art director's dream. And that's the beautiful thing, is we've been here. I know you've been here. We've all been onto the boardwalk. But it is perfect for like a teenage vampire horror film that's a cult classic. You have all the games, you have all the activities going on, that especially at night, that you have all the thrills and everything that you can, and then all the little places all around here in Santa Cruz. So it's the perfect vampire capital of the world, Valley echoed. Indeed, many of Santa Clara's most visible landmarks have starring roles in the film. There's that Wild Zone, if you haven't seen it. This is kind of a plug for the movie. Sorry. It's kind of a plug for the movie. There's that wild saxophone concert overlooking the beach at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Atlanta's Fantasy World comic book shop serves as the de facto clubhouse of the Frog Brothers, and now the defunct Pogo Nip Clubhouse lent the exterior to the wacky taxidermy-filled home where the Emerson brothers, played by Jason Patric and Corey Haim, live with their mother, Diane Weist, and grandfather, Bernard Hughes. It is a really cool house, so maybe I'll check out the Pogo Nip while I'm here, just to see. I'm sure it's quite the landmark. So while Santa Cruz served as the backdrop, some scenes were filmed in Santa Clarita and on the Warner Brothers lot in Hollywood. It's the cast and crew that have made the film the cult classic that it is today. Some have even argued it created the teen vampire drama. Like Twilight fans, there's others out there. Well, this says Eat Your Heart Out. I think that's more of a werewolf thing than a vampire thing. But the man with the vision was legendary director Joel Schumacher, who died in 2020. Fantastic director. Done lots of different films. I just can't think of any big ones yet, but that was probably his big one in the beginning. Look at the folks I was working with. There's so few of them left, Beasley said reminiscently. I feel like an old geezer now. Screenwriter Bohm died in 2000. Producer Harvey Bernard passed away in 2014, and of course Hollywood lost actors Corey Haim and Ed Herman in 2010 and 2014 respectively. But their memories and contributions live on in The Lost Boys, a wild celebration of all things 80s and supernatural. It's very true. The cast, in addition to Schumacher's discerning eye makes the film many of its stars went to have incredible careers, including Kiefer Sutherland, Feldman, Alex Winter, and of course, Diane Weist. She's been in lots of amazing films. But the task of wrangling all those young people fell on Jewett, now the professor of film at the University of Colorado, Denver. He remembers that all the Lost Boys had skateboards, which they'd ride around the Warner Brothers lot. So I can't tell you how many times I'd go out to get them and they'd be skating off into the distance. Jewett said, I'd have to chase them. That sounds like Corey Haim. And Jewett remembers clearly that the first night of shooting in pre-production, he said one of the stuntmen invited the vampire gang to practice riding their motorcycles on his land. Sutherland declined. I own a Harley already, he said, according to Jewett. Lo and behold, the first night on set, Sutherland fell on his motorcycle after riding over the diagonal train track. He broke his hand. Some vampire, right? We ended up faking the shot with a stunt guy and a big close-up on Kiefer. Jewett recalled. It was quite a start to the whole show. But Sutherland, along with Patrick, were reportedly the leaders of the shenanigans, both Beasley and Jewett, so they kept the young vampires in check and set a positive example for them. So, yeah, there's a lot to this movie, actually. I think so. Hopefully, you watched it. So, moving on. Sorry to take such a long pause. So Kiefer Sutherland, who's a very famous actor, his dad was Donald Sutherland, a very famous actor as well. But Kiefer took them all under his wing and taught them how to be better actors. Jewett said the Coreys, as those interviewed for the article recalls, were another story. If they were anything they could get into, the little troublemakers they did, Beasley said. They would find it and do it. They were a handful. Well, it's Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. Bally, who was 27 at the time, was tasked with casting 2,023 extras 20, wow, for the film, an undoubtedly daunting task. Although it was only her second film, she took the challenge in stride. She said she did it at the Holiday Inn in Santa Cruz, and we announced it at the Santa Cruz Sentinel. On the first day, about 1,600 people showed up. More than 1,200 appeared the next day. She ended up casting about 800 people for the 2023 various roles, many of whom were Santa Cruz locals who appear in the boardwalk scenes of The Lost Boys. So, many of the people, maybe even some of the neighbors around here, I don't know, they might have been in the film. And they might be vampires. You basically have to be partially one of the gang, Dad figured, and you've got to be stern with them at times. While joking with them at times, he said, they're kids. There's a lot of testosterone flowing. Everyone's trying to outdo everyone else. You learn quickly there's got to be an adult to the room. Sometimes it's like herding cats, which I don't know if any of you tried to herd a cat. It's almost impossible. So Beasley remembers during pre-production, the production had offices on the Warner Brothers lot. He received a phone call from security. The boys had stolen somebody's golf cart. They went joyriding all over the place, he said. We had to reel them in. It's sort of these antics and the chemistry they inspired that lend the film its authenticity. The cast became friends just as they appeared on screen. Which is always great for a movie is when people actually get along quite well. Those interviewed for the story all say they love how the film came out, though most hadn't seen it in years. I think it's great fun, Beasley said. It's become a cult classic, and I love that. And so, that is the story of how Santa Cruz became the vampire capital of the world. It was from a film in the 1980s. And again, it's a cult classic, wonderful film, but the question remains, are there vampires out there? Now, I've seen some people around here, I'm not saying that they look like vampires. Some of them might be trying to look like vampires. But who knows? After the lights go out, that's not for me to really decide. That's up to everybody else. Do you believe in vampires? Do you believe that there are people that walk the night like that? Well, I'll just leave that up to you. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. Goodbye from Santa Cruz.